Our podcast is about you guys and your journey in music and how you got to where you are today.
Alrighty.
Right on. So are you guys both grew up in around the same area, or where are you guys from?
I'm originally from Panama City Beach, Florida, which is
Okay.
in northwest area of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I did like the stereotypical thing that most people that want to be aspiring rock stars do and move out to Los Angeles when I was like 18. So
Okay.
I've been out there ever since then.
Right on. Right on. What about you, Joseph?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from upstate New York, and I did the even more ridiculously stereotypical thing. I took my last $50 and got a Greyhound ticket, jumped across the country, and never looked back. Yeah, so Jake and I were both out in LA when we met. We were in another band prior to Witherfall.
Okay. Right on. Well, how did you get into music originally, Joseph?
I mean, a lot of it has to do with my dad. He had probably the largest record collection I've ever seen, and still to this day have ever seen. I mean, he had pretty eclectic tastes, and it might have rubbed off on me. Though I did used to make fun of him because I thought Pink Floyd was kind of girly sounding. I never really heard them. It had Pink in the title, so the joke's on me. Yeah, I mean, like he used to take me to concerts and like all sorts of different stuff. You know, Kenny Rogers, Loretta Lynn, Linda Ronstadt, Aerosmith. He took me to an Ozzy concert. I mean,
That's rad.
Yeah.
Right on. What about you, Jake? How did you get into music?
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same way. My dad, just rummaging around through like his vinyl collection. And I remember specifically finding a copy of Kiss's Destroyer.
Oh,
And
there you go.
looking at them and thinking they look like the coolest things I've ever seen, like superheroes. And so I was really little at that point. And my dad also just had like a bunch of guitars and stuff around. He played just as like a hobby. And I thought it was, it looked really cool. And the sound that they did was really gratifying to me. So I got into it then. And then my dad took me to go see a Kiss tribute show when I was like 4. And like Gene Simmons was my favorite guy. And when the fake Gene came out there, and like I completely freaked out and had to leave the show because I was not about it at 4 years old.
Oh, you were like afraid of him?
Yeah, I was afraid of it. Yeah. It was my first concert too, so it was just like,
oh wow.
I think my mom took me to see Hootie and the Blowfish before then, so maybe that would have been my first show. I can't remember, but yeah, that started then. And then and when I first started playing guitar, it was like AC/DC, Hell's Bells, just hearing that. That was the thing that got me to be like, oh, I wanna start doing that.
Okay. So guitar was obviously the first instrument you learned. And did your dad teach you, or were you just messing around with it?
No, when I was he maybe taught me like a chord or something like that, and he got me a Squire Stratocaster. But I went to like a teacher, and when I was 8 at that point, and this wasn't about practicing at all. So I didn't mind the lessons, but I never practiced and was like, this is just a waste of money. So I stopped, and then when I was 10, I picked it back up and started, taking it a little bit more seriously.
Okay, right on. What about you, Joseph? What was the first instrument you learned?
It was guitar. Actually, a funny story. My first guitar that I owned, my dad sold at a garage sale because he thought I wasn't playing it.
Oh wow, that's too bad.
Yeah. We had a friend of the family. This guy, what the fuck was his name? Something Buddy, and he did that song Sneaky Snake. He had like a record. Like he actually had a record. Like
oh wow.
Of course, when you have bring it around to your friends and show off. So yeah, I mean guitar, then keyboards and piano, and I didn't get into singing till a little bit later, mostly because of frustration with trying to find a singer that actually was a musician. It was almost impossible.
Sure. Everybody thinks they can sing, right?
Oh, you have no idea. You should see some of the people that come like to me for voice lessons. I just tell them I can't help them.
There's no hope for you. Stop now.
Seriously, I tell them to go learn to play an instrument first and then come back.
That's funny. That's really funny. What was the first like when you started playing guitar, did like how soon after that did you form like a band?
Dude, I I picked up a guitar and I was in a band within a week. Like,
Wow.
I found this 12-year-old guitar that like he could play like all the Van Halen like tapping licks, and I was like super impressed because when you first start playing guitar, that's really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And we played all the standards like Iron Man and Sunshine of Your Love and like War Pigs and shit like that, and Kisses, Deuce and Strutter and She.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty quick. I mean, what happens to guys like us is, when you get really obsessive about things. So there's almost like nothing else in your world when something comes into it that you really, really are passionate about.
Mm-hmm. So that was it. I mean, it was 12, you said, that you guys were playing all those songs. That's pretty impressive.
I mean, I didn't buy a guitar till I was like 14. I started a little later than Jake.
Oh, okay.
Really young.
Oh, right on, right on. Okay. What about you, Jake? What was the first band you started? Like, was there?
Yeah, I was
like Joseph.
Yeah, I was like after a year of playing guitar. I had a buddy. I was like 11, and I had a friend that started playing drums, and so it was like, cool, let's form a band. So it was just like just us two, no bassist, no vocalist. And we played like school dances and shit like that.
Oh, wow. Just the two of you guys.
Yeah, it was fucking terrible. I mean,
were you doing covers or like just did you have your own original stuff?
Well, we like the first gig we ever did, we had a 2-song set that we just put on loop. And it was like, it was a half-ass version of Back in Black that like was completely wrong. And then Damn It by Blink-182.
That's quite the jump.
Yeah. And then like half of an original. Like it wasn't even finished yet.
But you just went for it anyway.
Yeah. And then we had no vocalist. And then we slowly started adding to our set list. And we started doing like, I remember we did a terrible cover of My Michelle at a school dance when we're like fucking 11 years old. There was no vocals and stuff to it. But yeah, I mean, I did that. And then I started like, I think when I was 13, I had like a real band, I guess, where it was, it was all cover tunes and stuff like that and some originals. And we'd play some, I guess not bars at that point, but parties and shit. And we were actually, getting paid $100 or something like that.
Wow. Yeah.
And then, but I quickly grew out of like everyone in my like circle of band guys I was in like got girlfriends or they just didn't care about it enough, and I was like so driven by it, and I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. So I started quickly my journey of being the youngest member of every band I've been in by just playing with a bunch of older guys,
Okay.
And we were playing bars, and my mom would always have to come because I couldn't get into it. I had to like play the set and then jump out,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What about you, Joseph? What was the first like real kind of band that you started playing with?
Well, I mean, right away I formed a couple of bands, and I started writing right away. I started reading music or learning to read music. Yeah, I mean, I got really into the writing, which is kind of how I jumped from guitar to other instruments. But I was just thinking too, the first time I ever sang on stage was before I was like a serious singer. The singer was grounded, but he like hitched with the drummer to this bar we were playing at. Like we were like 14, 15 playing in these bars because the owner like liked us. I don't know. So the fucking mom came and dragged him off the stage in the middle of our set. And I I mean, we were playing like Knocking on Heaven's Door, and he just dragged him right off. And it was like one of the only songs in the set that I knew how to sing. So I like finished the song.
Oh my gosh. In the middle, just what did you play? Guitar?
I mean, there was like 5 like Army veterans like drinking Coors Light or Utica Club or something, and like they just turned around, stopped like, and then went back to smoking their cigarettes and drinking.
That's amazing.
My
So that
first
was
show though was no unofficial gay wedding. I was like 13. Yeah, yeah. My mom was like a prop master for some theater group, and I used to play piano for them, like, and beat a guy like oh, like Alice in Wonderland, like falls down the rabbit hole, and I hit all the fucking diminished chords. But yeah, like I wrote a bunch of songs, and then we did some acoustic, shit like Wild World and like stuff like that. Knock on Heaven's Door. That was the first time I ever got paid. I think we made $100, and with that I bought like a crate guitar cabinet, because before that I was using my dad's stereo speakers.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Did you have to have like a pedal? Like how would it, I mean, I would assume that it wouldn't be very loud.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was a power amp, and it was a Sun PA cabinet, like an all-tube cabinet, and I was running a Digitech Twin, so it actually sounded really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought it was just like a generic like PA speaker that you're like plugging into. That's funny.
No, like hi-fi speakers.
Okay, right on, right on. Well, okay, so then you told me that you got to LA on $50. Like, how did that, like, tell me the story of what led you to going, you know what, I'm going to take this $50 and I'm going to go to LA and see what I can do there.
Same thing like Jake was talking about, like there's no one around you that really takes it seriously. Like no one really, will give up anything to succeed. And at the time I had been like going to New York and kind of living with my girlfriend, down in Manhattan, and I still couldn't find anyone really that I wanted to play with or write with. And one day I was after work, I was with my old guitar player, and we were drinking Jack Daniels. I mean, this is by the time I had started like drinking. We were drinking Jack Daniels, eating wings, and watching the Doors movie. That whole scene, like it's really romantic. And I'm like, fuck this, Dan. We're getting on the Greyhound and we're going to New York or to LA. And I fucking woke up and I went to the fucking bus station and I got on the bus. I didn't know anyone in Los Angeles. I had already done this Greyhound trip a couple times, but just as like to see it, like I got a hotel room. I did, like whatever. Like I was like 16 doing cross country bus trips just to see different places. But I made that drunken decision. When I woke up, I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh yeah, I got to get up and go to the bus station. Like I left all my gear. I took like an acoustic guitar, all of my writing, and put it in a backpack, and then just like went. It was crazy. Like,
oh my gosh.
Shit, and like I found a band to play bass for, like to get a roof over my head, and it was crazy. Cool. It was a wild time, man. Like the Sunset Strip was actually still like a scene, like that looked like an movie back then. It was like 1999. It was pretty wild.
Wow. What, so that band that you started playing bass for, that was kind of a band that you stayed with for a while? Like how long down the road did Witherfall happen?
I was in that. Well, it was way long ago.
Okay.
They were a band called the Peppermint Creeps. I mean, they were a decent sized glam band, like kind of crazy. No, I did quite a stint in Hollywood, just writing and playing and doing stuff before I ended up joining the band White Wizard, and that's where I met Jake, and we had our own fucking adventures in that band.
What did you play in that band? Were you the singer in that band?
Yeah, by the time I got to LA, I was mainly singing, and I was only using the guitar to write.
Okay, that's cool. Right on, right on. What about you,
And I
Jake?
was doing
Sorry, go ahead.
shows and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I had really like turned my focus towards singing and writing by then.
Okay, right on. What about Jake? How did you get to Los Angeles?
I went out right after high school, but I went there. I went to MI, Musicians Institute, and did not GIT, not the guitar program, but I did like, it was a bachelor program for like all over music, and I was not a good student at all there because I was just like, fuck, I know how to play shred guitar. I'm gonna ace stuff, and it was like not
Not shred guitar.
It was pretty humbling actually. But it was cool because I knew a little bit about reading music. I knew a lot of theory in high school. I took like some college classes all on that stuff for music theory, but my reading chops were not really up to par. So a lot of that stuff helped. And then so that's how I got out to LA. It was a decision between that or going to Berkeley in Boston. And like I knew I was going to end up in LA at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, why not just go ahead and go out there and you know, a bit of a jump from Panama City to Los Angeles, you know. So
Sure.
yeah, so I went out there originally for music school.
And with that, did you start like join bands or form bands like out of that school, or was it after you graduated you started like taking that more seriously?
Yeah, it was afterwards. I had my friend, this guitar teacher, his name is Chris Broderick. He used to play for Megadeth, and
Wow.
he had a band called Jagpanzer, and they were losing a guitar player, so he had recommended me for it, and I got the I got the band, but then I got the job, but then like the same day the singer quit. It was like,
oh wow,
there was no band at that point anymore, so I was like, shit. But it had, luckily they had put my name in a press release, so I got contacted by some other bands, and through that I had heard about this band White Wizard, which is how Joseph and I ended up meeting, and so yeah, it's just one of those things that's just like one thing leads to another, you know. It's like one move here will end up causing this event. So
wow,
that's how that started. How my touring career, I guess.
It was with what you guys toured with White Wizard.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. What's that?
No, it was 2.5 tours. Like,
yeah, I mean we did we did a tour when I first joined the band. I was like 19 and I had like a week to learn songs. Yeah, and then we took off. We did a tour of North America, and then we did a tour with this band Iced Earth, which I ended up joining later on.
Oh yeah, I know Iced Earth. Wow.
We went on Iced Earth tour and we got kicked off actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Just
in the band. That was
not being fucking, just being a terrible band that as a tour, like not like a terrible band playing wise, but a terrible band, a touring band. Like it was just
a terrible band to tour with.
Yeah, everything.
Okay.
Terribly. So we didn't have our shit together at all. And we got booted off that tour. And then then after that, that's when we met. Joseph was sometime that next year. I guess that would have been 2012 or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And then when did you guys this band didn't start until what, like 2017, 2016, 2017, or no, earlier than that?
First record we released in 2017. We had once White Wizard was over, like, and we got together and started writing, we had a bunch of hurdles and deaths and firings and
oh my
craziness that that paused our release of the first record, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we started in 2013.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we
the
formed
band started.
band-
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, like we were. So the White Wizard died while we were in England, and we were at the other guitar player's mom's house on like the coast of the English Channel. It's a place called Lyme Regis. Amazing place. I think Ian Gillan lives right up the road in Devon. Well, we were pretty drunk, and I think Jake was smoking cigars, and I probably was smoking cigars too because I was drunk. Anyway, we were like on the English Channel, and we're just like, fuck this band, like let's just start our own band, like, and we'll do it like the right way, like we'll make the right business decisions, and we'll write music that we want to write, like there's no rules, like, because that band was kind of like a Iron Maiden rip-off band, you know, to be blunt. And it was musically for both of us pretty limiting, I'd say. I think Jake actually hated being in that band more than I did, even though I get most of the brunt of, you know, being the troublemaker in the band.
Yeah, I mean, it was just always wanted to have my own band and have a singer that could do the type of shit that I heard, you know, or wanted to do. And like Joseph and I like first bonded over King Diamond because actually it was like we were gonna do a cover of a King Diamond song, Mansion in Darkness, and like we showed up to rehearsal and like Joseph and I were the only ones that prepared it, and we're the only ones that knew the song, had to play it, and we're like, what the fuck is this? Like,
Right.
are we fucking professionals or what? You know, like. So immediately we're like, okay, cool. Well, we love King Diamond, and I'm like, damn, this guy, like, he put the work in, you know.
Mhm.
And then we loved classical music, and we would nerd out about theory and all that kind of shit. And so, yeah, we were on Lyme Regis on that channel. It was like, let's do a band that's basically like, there's no rules when it comes to writing. Like, let's be like Queen, you know, like a heavy
Mhm.
version of Queen. And yeah, we both agreed, and then like shortly after that tour, we were at my fucking disgusting apartment in Hollywood, you know, writing the first record, you know, and I think that first session we had like 3 songs down or something.
Wow.
Debut, yeah. So it was like, and we didn't even know how to write at that. Like we weren't familiar with each other on if, because sometimes you can be. I've noticed with some people that are like, they're great musicians, but your chemistry writing just doesn't work,
Mhm.
or it's forced, or it's not natural. And Joseph and I, it's like fell right into place.
That's
Immediately.
amazing.
Yeah.
The band we were in before that White Wizard, we didn't really have too much of a hand in writing. I mean, I wrote a couple of melodies here and there and some harmonies, and Jake wrote some leads, and I think a couple of the beds, but it really wasn't, like, we had no idea what to expect when we got in that room together, you know.
Mhm. You were the vocalist, and you still didn't have reign to write the songs or even the lyrics.
I mean, look, I got these horribly sung demos with half melodies and some. I mean, the lyrics. God, I don't want to trash this, but I mean, let's. Just
but I'm
say,
going to.
I mean, yeah. I mean, White Wizard would not be mistaken for Faulkner. Okay, like there's no. There's no eloquence involved in White Wizard. It's flying high in the sky with fucking dragons and fucking tears of like whatever.
With that said, it's also it was kind of meant to be like, it was a fun band, you know.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it was totally fun. It was fun. The shows were really fun. Like when everything's going right, you know, it's like it was really a lot of fun. It's kind of like you know, in the schoolyard, like it's all fun, there's chaos and fun and loud yelling and you know, like, and it's all fun until someone smashes into someone else and like their face starts bleeding, and that's what being in that band was like. It was like, oh, this is great, it's fucking controlled chaos, we're traveling, you know, we're in a van, and then someone didn't fucking dot the I's, and then you're fucking fucked, and someone's like pulling out their Visa and renting a fucking car.
It was fucking ridiculous, man. I mean, I wouldn't even call it controlled chaos. It was chaos. It was just like, watch out, you know? But
Oh my.
but yeah, I mean, I mean, the main guy in that band too, we liked him as a person. It was just, we did not see eye to eye on business stuff,
Mhm.
and how everything was ran. And that was another thing too. It was like, okay, if we're going to do this, like we didn't have any control. It was like, no matter any advice that we would give or opinions, it was like, at the end of the day, that guy he owned the band. So it was like, fuck this, like, we want to be the owners, you know, we want to be
Right. You're all just in his band.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
Got
at
it.
the mercy of whatever consequence happens to befall the band, you know,
Right.
without being able to like have any input. I mean, I honestly, yeah, like Jake said, like we like that guy as a person. I hope him and his cat are doing fine. Like,
Him and his cat. What I think is good though, Jake, even after the fact that Iced Earth kicks you off the tour, you play in the band. Like how quickly after that did they ask you? And I'm surprised they even put your name in the hat there.
Yeah. Well, I had done some other like touring gigs. I went out with a band that was opening up for Kiss, and
Wow.
John Schaefer happened to be he's a huge Kiss fan, so he came out to the show, and I guess he was fans of that band. So he kind of saw me in a different light, I think, at that point, you know. And then when their other guitar player left, Troy, in 2016, I just randomly just like cold called, basically was just like, hey, and he's like, hey, are you still in this band Cobra and the Lotus? And I was like, no. And he's like, well, how about you send an audition tape in? And so it worked like that. I mean, it was he kind of saw I could play all the parts and all that kind of stuff, and he knew I had some touring experience by that point of not fucking up an entire tour. So kind of
You totally redeemed yourself on that Kiss tour. That's good. Well, you guys were already playing together at that point too. Is that kind of hard to leave, or were you guys always still performing as Witherfall?
no,
But
Adam died. So
oh my gosh,
we were focused on just doing the record and then getting everything together. You know, we were shopping for a deal, and if not, we were going to self-release. But then, you know, Adam got cancer while we were like putting everything together, trying to get the tracks back from this engineer that, you know, we almost had to kill. And out. Yeah, I mean, that's another story. But
we were gonna kidnap his dog like Peter Gabriel.
He just wouldn't give you the files.
Well, he wanted to mix it, but then he wouldn't mix it. Like, so like he had it hostage, and I mean, threats were made. Fucking dogs were targeted.
We can have a whole podcast on that. You know?
That 2-year window where we recorded that record, and then Adam got cancer and fucking died before the first song was even released.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a book in itself.
Yeah, so I was actually on tour with this other band that had hired me to write and sing on a record, and then Jake got the Iced Earth gig like while I was out on tour, and we had no idea like concretely what was going to happen with the Witherfall record yet. You know, everything was kind of up in the air. It's kind of crazy. It was a crazy time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, was it hard? I must have been difficult to keep going with the band after, you know, he passed away.
Well, it was yeah, I mean, I was on tour. Almost every story comes with we were on tour. I was on tour with my first tour with Iced Earth, and yeah, we were in the Netherlands when we got that, or I think Joseph had. We had a mutual friend that lived in Europe that was coming out to the show, and Joseph had told her and about Adam, And so, yeah, so I found out then, and then I think like 2 days later, we had it, like we were going to release our first. By that point, we'd actually been passed on by a lot of labels. And so we're like, fuck it. We're just going to, like Joseph was saying, we're just going to release this ourselves. So we hired a PR person to push out a single, and it was like 2 days after he died. But I mean, at that point, it was like Joseph and I had worked with Adam previously back in 2010 on a instrumental EP thing that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and we all had great chemistry when it came to writing, and he composed some really great drum parts on Nocturnes. So, but it, you know, we knew that Adam was going to want it to like carry on, you know, so there was never a point of us stopping, you know, and we actually ended up doing the next record was completely all about him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A Prelude to Sorrow, that whole record is about him?
Yeah, the title is actually, so it's A Prelude to Sorrow. His name is Adam Paul Sagan. So it's like his initials, you know?
Oh, wow. That's awesome that you guys were, you know, tribute him like that. That's amazing.
It wasn't intentional.
Right. I mean,
we got together to write the second record, and all the songs, all the roads just started leading down that. This is going to be a fucking rock opera about Adam, like, and about us going through that whole thing. And I mean, there's some really crazy songs on there, like Meridian's Visitation. Like, you know, we watched him, you know, through his cancer diagnosis. It, like, when he got diagnosed with cancer, he was on his way to the airport to go to the photo shoot. That's why you never see any photos with the three of us anywhere. They don't exist, because the photo shoot was missed because he started having chest pains, and on the way to the airport, they had to rush him to the emergency room. And so he missed the flight. And I was like joking with him, like, dude, yeah, get some Vicodin from your doctor. You know, we'll put you on another flight.
right.
Like, well, gentlemen, the bad news is I have cancer, but the good news is I got the Vicodin. But
Oh my gosh, they were able to find out that quickly. That's
yeah,
crazy.
I mean,
Yeah, it was pretty.
It was the size of a fucking tennis or golf ball, or not a golf ball, like a softball or something crazy.
Yeah, he was telling us, like, because we were gonna do like a jam or something like that. When he came out to LA, because he lived in Minnesota, so it was Joseph and our bassist, our longtime bassist, Anthony Crawford. We basically just kind of met at that point. So we were gonna all get together and rehearse, and he's like, he was like, guys, I'm in so much pain, like I don't know if I can play drums. And we're like, what the fuck are you talking about, Adam? Like, learn the songs and stop being a pussy. And
sure, like, yeah. At that point, you don't know anything, right?
Yeah,
just giving him
I
shit.
thought it was just because he wasn't prepared.
right. Yeah, go home and learn those songs.
Yeah. And then it's crazy because it was that exact day that we were supposed to have the photo shoot the next day with our good friend Stephanie Cabral, who's a photographer, who's been our photographer for years since then. And we had a photo shoot the next day, and he was flying out, and it was wild.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That whole record's about him. Like, he had a was it his niece, Meridian?
Yeah.
She was hit by a car while she was holding her mom's hand or something, walking down the road. And like, while Adam was all like drugged up on morphine, he's in the hospital, and he was having, like, you know, morphine visions of her. And he had wrote on Facebook some crazy long-winded, like, thing about crystals and visions. And then at the end, and he's like, oh, and more on Meridian's Visitation, like, later. And, like, you know, so we wrote about that. Like, the whole thing has to do with, more vodkas here. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, the record is, it's really a sad, somber, emotional, like, tribute to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the track Vintage in particular was like, when after that night that we found that Adam called us and said that he had cancer, we were trying to get ready for a photo shoot, so we weren't drinking and didn't want to have that fucking Vince Neil alcohol bloat.
Sure. Alcohol bloat.
So when that happens, we're like, well, I don't know if there's a better excuse to drink than finding out that, you know, your partner and bandmate and friend has cancer. So we went to this wine bar that was down the street from my apartment in Hollywood called Vintage. And that was the first place we went to after we found out, and we were there like really just bumming out on this news and everything. And then we got annihilated there. And then later on, the title of the closer of the album is called Vintage. And what happened was I think Joseph wrote all the lyrics to that. But when we finished that song, we were like, okay, let's go have a celebratory drink at Vintage. And it was the day that we finished the song. We go there and we literally watched the two owners get in a fight. Like they throw a wine bottle at each other.
Oh my gosh.
It closed. It was like,
oh, it closed that day after that? I would guess.
It was like one of those things where it was like the song had to be complete. And then
jeez. Was it like break the bottle and try to shank the guy type thing?
It was like they were
screaming.
Yeah, we were outside on the patio, and like we hear all this commotion, and we're like, whoa. We went there all the time, so we knew all the waitresses, and this waitress comes out and she's like, oh my God, like I'm really sorry about that. We're like, she's like, are you okay? And we're like, it was fucking crazy.
That's wild. Oh my gosh.
You kept that bottle of wine that we got when we found out the news, and then didn't it like break in some weird mysterious way, like
yeah. So yeah, that was yes, that night that we found out, we got a bottle of this Spanish varietal. I can't remember what type of wine it was, but and
Grenache or something.
Yeah, and I was moving. I kept it on my on a counter, you know, like our own shelf space, you know, just to kind of remember it.
Sure.
We always was like, oh, there's Adam, you know. And so I was moving to another apartment, and it was the last thing in my house to grab, and so I was standing up on the counter to get it, and like I went to jump down, and the back of my pants got caught. And like I did this somersault thing, and I'm there hanging, and the bottle fell down and went everywhere. And I forgot that when we were so fucked up, we had written a note to Adam,
right,
and put it in the fucking bottle.
Oh wow!
So I'm like standing there. I'm like, holy shit, because I'm like, if this thing falls, I'm gonna get a fucking glass right to the face.
Right.
Like this, like it was like out of a movie, like, you know, fucking. There's like this sheet of paper on it, like. It was fucking wild.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then even more stuff about Adam was our first show ever.
Oh God.
We were playing on this cruise, 70,000 tons of metal, and Adam's brothers came, and Adam's dream was to play this cruise line, this metal cruise. You know, like it was a floating metal festival. It's
that's rad. I've never heard of it. That's so cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and so we were there, and his brothers got us, and they were like, hey, can we have something for you? And
it was
us
drunk first. Really?
Yeah, it got us like shit faced. I mean, we were shit faced the entire time, but like they had like this vial on their necklace, and I was like, these guys fucking smuggling some coke on this boat.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is Adam, and it was like his ashes. And
oh wow.
They were like, do you mind if like before the final song we come up and spread his ashes on stage? We were like, I was like, yeah, that's fucking killer. And Joseph was like, all right, what rules are we going to be breaking here in international?
Yeah.
It turns out it was in violation of the international rules of disposal of a body. Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah. You're in violation of international law, and you can actually be thrown off the ship.
They're like, good luck.
They deport you. Yeah, the nearest port, and they escort you off and leave you there. You're supposed to go to the captain and ask permission for that sort of thing, and we weren't about to do that because they'd say no. It's a corporation, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we decided to chance it. I don't think anyone, none of the guards, like, because there's like security in front of the stage, knew what was going on. But man, the fans, there are some photos of the fans and they look horrified. Like there's a dead body on stage right now.
Right. Wow. I wonder if like the crews and the guards are probably like, oh, this is just a part of their, act, like a lot, how.
No,
I guess
Yeah.
we could have always said that.
one of the girls that was a stagehand said she was crying, like she was in the back of us, like she knew it was real.
Mm-hmm.
Like
It was,
the security was really cool about it. They didn't say anything.
yeah.
But it was kind of wrong, like when they came and swept it up afterwards.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, like, seeing all there's a video of it online actually.
Yeah.
And there's like a picture of like there's this guy that had like a sex doll just around. Like a total, like, it's like a huge metal festival on this cruise, and like like someone snagged a photo of him, like when they threw down the ashes, and like his jaw, his face is like his jaw's open, and it's like resembling, like, he's got the sex doll on his shoulder.
Oh, so it's like he's like got her up here.
They both have the same expression. It's really
Oh my gosh.
like
That
the stage lighting is like, it makes things look all neon. So like Adam's ashes are like bright white on the stage.
oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool though that his brothers thought of that, and like that's something that he always wanted to do, and that's probably the coolest way to do the ashes.
Yeah,
I mean, in my
split him
opinion.
up. So he ended up in a dustbin somewhere on a boat, and he's also a tree, which is pretty fitting for him. I mean, I remember when I went to they did like a benefit show for him in Minneapolis,
Mhm.
where like they were raising money for his
medical bills.
expenses.
Mhm.
And like the guys from Cannibal Corpse and Mickey D,
Rad.
King
Wow.
had like all donated like autograph sticks and just stuff to auction off.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm hanging out with Adam and like his friends and whatnot, and he everything's about to go on. He's about to get on stage and talk, and like the bands are about to start, and then he's freaking out because he forgot his fucking lucky crystals. He had this like setup in his house, like of all these crystals, and he had picked out specific ones for that day. And I had to fucking drive all the way back and go get his crystals.
Did you grab the right ones?
We were like, he's out in the middle of fucking nowhere. It was like an hour and a half round trip.
Oh
man.
man.
I don't know, man. I just grabbed every single fucking rock.
I'm kidding. Yeah, because you're like, he picked out these specific ones. You come back and he's like, dude, you didn't get the right ones.
He was
dropped them like they're on the floor. I had to like go underneath his couch. Like,
oh man,
this can't be good luck.
Yeah. Wow. Well, obviously you guys toured the record.
No, never. We never.
Oh, really? Well, you did the cruise, but other than that, nothing else.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah, we did like a few. After that, we recorded a Prelude. We had written Prelude, and we did the recording of that, and then we did a few shows in Japan too. At the end of that year, that was all in the same year, whatever year that was, 2018, I think.
Oh, okay. So when that had all happened, the cruise had happened, and then you guys went into the studio to record that record after the fact.
Yeah.
That year.
Got it. Okay. Did you tour Prelude then pretty extensively?
No, we've always had a hard time getting tours. The tour that we've done has been we've done one-off festivals, and we've done and then we did like an acoustic tour with Sonata Arctica in Europe. That was actually, I guess that was technically supporting Prelude, but we had a EP come out, an acoustic EP, right out to kind of piggyback off of Prelude. So yeah, and then we did
Yeah, and we're supposed to do a full tour in October and November of this year, but you know, we'll see
We'll see how that permits.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
so what were you guys up to when COVID happened? Was this record complete, or tell me where you guys were at?
Well, we had started writing right after Prelude, and we're always writing music. So right after Prelude, we started working on Curse of Autumn, and I guess what would become Curse of Autumn. And so by the time COVID hit, you know, we had basically had everything all booked for the studio. At the end of 2019, we were making all those arrangements because we had quite a pretty big staff actually for this record, and people all over the place. So we had all the studio time, all the hotels, all the flights, and then March comes around. We're supposed to start in April, and of course everything gets totally fucked up.
Sure.
So from there we had to pretty much just like ditch all those plans and try to start from scratch, you know, which is it. Joseph and I always like to be like way more prepared, you know, like we're doing this stuff in like the end of 2019, so it's not like last minute, like going back to how we couldn't handle other bands because it was like, oh fuck, we're supposed to be in Europe next week and no one has flights yet. Why is it going to cost $5,000? You know,
Right.
so it was, you know, but we had to scramble to try to get this thing finished.
2019, like we were on a lot of tours with Sanctuary and Iced Earth, and Jake had Demons and Wizards as well. So, you know, between those tours, we managed to get together enough and finished writing Curse of Autumn. And then, yeah, like 2020 was just all about recording the record and making all these videos. We did a video for almost every song on the record.
Rad.
We spent about 35 days total production time with a couple of breaks in between to deal with some scheduling conflicts and whatnot. Nothing really changed for us at all except for the release date. Originally we were supposed to release in November, but like the vinyl facilities, you know,
we're all shut down and everything.
Yeah, well, at half capacity or whatever the hell they were. You know, like our artist had some limitations with his studio, so you know everything got pushed back on the peripherals. So we ended up releasing later. We thought it was going to work out because the tour with Evergrey originally was for March, so we rescheduled to March, thinking, okay, we'll get the tour. But you know, like nothing ever gets done as fast as you think it's going to get done, especially here in the United States.
Well, tell me about the artwork, because the guy that did the art has done a bunch of rad album covers.
Yeah, that guy's Christian Wallin, and we back during the Nocturnes days, Joseph and I were going through like what type of artist we wanted for the band, and we loved this King Diamond Voodoo, like the artwork for that, and among other things that we love about King Diamond, but that artwork in particular, and we're like, you know what, and Christian Wallin is kind of like a legend in the art scene for album art. So we're like, you know, let's just see if he'll do it. And it took him like 2 weeks, and he gets back and he's like, I normally don't do this, but I like you guys. So like
did he know you guys prior, or you just like cold emailed him?
We just cold emailed him, cold Facebook messaged him or something, you know?
Oh wow.
And
I said to both. I got bombarded.
Yeah, so we like we kind of, and it's kind of in the same way. Christian's one of those guys where he's, you know, it's very hands off kind of. We would give him like a theme, a color scheme. Joseph will provide him some lyrics and some really half-assed demos that we have, and we're just like, go with it, you know. And we like to have a lot of creative control, but with Christian, we totally just let him do his own thing, and he always knocks it out of the park. It's, you know, kind of cool. Now we have like 4 different parts of like the Witherfall collection, you know, or series.
Yeah.
Oh, so like each record or is another piece of his artwork?
He did every record so far.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. Awesome. Well, and then records coming out next month, right? March 5th.
Yeah, March 5th.
Very, very cool. And you have some of the singles have already been put out too, correct? I mean,
Yeah.
with the videos, like how is that, like shooting them and everything? Was that difficult to do with all the COVID regulations, or how are you guys able to pull that off?
Shit. I mean, it wasn't as bad as like the recording. When we went to do the drums in April, like the owner was having some health issue that like he didn't want anyone there at all, but you know, he can't just completely shut down his studio.
Mm-hmm.
So like we were all really like careful doing that, and you know, we can only have like, what do we had, like 4 people in there at a time in the whole studio. Videos, luckily, you know, like the people we used for the videos, besides Zev, like we didn't really know Zev, but the other videos were guys that I kind of knew from some other stuff I had done. So, you know, it was kind of like you're just going over to family's house.
Sure.
But yeah, like the stuff in Brooklyn with the As I Lie Awake video, that was a little tough because we had to use Duff's, which is the heavy metal bar where like I think like Peter Steele like kind of made famous back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So like they let us use that while they were closed. They opened up later at night, and they only opened up the outside. So like you had this big empty bar with all the craziness going on, and they let us use that. I mean, other than that, you know, there wasn't too much of a challenge, I don't think.
We had temperature checks. I remember we were outside of Duff's waiting to, you know, because the protocol. So the director was given the temperature checks, and it was like a brand new, and one of the extras was like there, but so took her temperature and she was 104. We're like, what the fuck? And I realized that she was standing right in the sun. So like the sun was.
Oh.
Yeah,
You're like, you need to get to the hospital like now.
You know, it's also like this whole thing of anxiety that you kind of get, like, you know, when we were doing the recording of the record, which was in June, and that was like during the height of, you know, of course you had COVID and the pandemic, but then also all like the George Floyd stuff was going on too. So there was like this really bizarre kind of just tension and anxiousness like in the air wherever you went. Just it was, and so that's for sure that made its way on the record. You know, I think always the atmosphere and environment you're in is gonna come out somewhat.
Sure. Wow. Well, I mean, what about coming up with concepts for the video? That must have been difficult if you're doing one for every single song on the record.
Well, all the songs are different, so it makes it easy, you know, like it's not AC/DC. It's not all about your balls and tits.
Right. But I mean, still to come up with that X amount of concepts, you're like, okay, this is this song about this, and then it's...
we had like 4 directors too, so
okay,
you know,
yeah, they kind of
yeah, and Zev's doing 3 of them. He did As I Lie Awake, the live action one, and then we're doing a couple other ones that are like half animation, half live action, and then there's one that's coming out March 5th. It's like a shortened version of And They All Blew Away. That's it's kind of like a ghost story, like the others kind of deal.
Oh, that's cool. Right on. Very, very cool. And well, thank you guys so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us on, man.
Yeah. I have one more question for you both. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists. Especially in this day and age.
Oh man. For aspiring artists that want to do it professionally,
Yeah.
well, being an artist is really only half of it. You know, you have to have a business mindset and realize that this whole thing is a game of chess. You know, so it's, if you just want to do art, don't try to do it professionally.
I like that. What about you, Joseph?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I think you really gotta, if you want to do music, you really have to fucking love it. You gotta like be all in and not care where your fucking next meal's coming from or where you're gonna fucking sleep. If you really want to do it, like, if you don't have that kind of drive and that kind of passion, you're gonna be disappointed. Like, it's gonna take up so much of your life. Like, you're gonna do it half-assed for like 30 years. You're gonna end up, you know, some of these sorry cases you see at your local bar, you know, still hanging on. And it's, you know, it's just not the best thing for you. Like, you got to have the drive, and if you don't have it, you got to be honest with yourself and say, I don't have it. Like, I do something else, and I'll fucking jam out to my music in my den or whatever for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I
just
like that.
time just to like practice. Like, if you can't find, Stephen King has a quote like about someone asked him about writing the exact same question. He's like, well, you have to have time. He's like, I read like 4 hours a day. And someone was like, well, I don't have the time to read 4 hours a day. And it's like, well, you don't have the time to be a good writer.
Yeah, right.
If you can't find the time to, I mean, you got to practice your craft, you know, unless you're just like, I don't know, you get lucky like fucking Kurt Cobain or some shit and just play half-ass guitar but have a cool voice. You know, that's a, you know, good luck with that lottery, you know.